Everybody, this is Jamie Pate. Thank you for coming and being a part of this video today. This is a little different and fun. This is the part of the show where you got to be the curator of the things in which I was going to make with. Yes, this is a celebration of my brand new storefront that is now up at ScrapbookCom. And let me show you a little bit more about what I'm talking about. Okay, so what are you talking about, Jamie? What is up with the storefront? So when I announced that my storefront was now open at scrapbook.com, I said, hey, here's a fun thing. This is over on my Facebook page. I invited you guys to share 5 to 8 products from my storefront that were of interest to you and that you'd like to see me make with. So I randomly and scientifically, not really, pulled a name, and that name belongs to Becky Holiday. At least I believe that's how we say your first name, Becky, because it's not spelled in the traditional manner, which is cool, by the way. So this is what she wanted to see me do some creating with the peppermint cardstock, non-Christmas, and the Roma mosaic stencil, and they're beautiful. And then also WordFetti, which that was not even a stretch for me because I adore these WordFetti stamps. They have several sets of them. I have the best day ever, as well as Oh Happy Day. Oh So Happy. I'm sorry, Oh So Happy. And then Paper Rose ticket dies. These are super fun and one of those things that you just want to have already cut up and at the ready. So we're going to talk about that. And of course, the beloved pocket dies. Now, I did not pick this out because of what was in here. I didn't pick it out. I really did actually randomly pick this to use for today's making. So here's a little caveat. So when she mentioned the peppermint, I was like, I have the peppermint paper in there? I'm just not a Brights girl. And so I realized, you know what? I only actually use one of the colors in here. And well, I have used this. This is a great navy, but I'm not into navy right now. But this is a really great green, super soft and pastel. So I'm going to use this one today. And along with this harvest paper, I'm also going to be using a little bit of that. And I'm also going to be using this Plum Grove by 49 & Market. It's from their colored foundations paper. This is color number 3. I think I have everything covered. Let's get started. Okay, to start, we're making a scrapbook page today because I'm working very diligently on getting some wonderful stories made in and put into my albums. And so I thought, let's just scrapbook it up today. So to start, one of the things I like to do with, I'm trying to get this right in the center of my knife there. So I'm using the texture paste from Ranger. It is really thick, but it's still going to work. It's about ready to be dry. I live at a high elevation, so sometimes my texture paints, my liquids and mediums want to dry out really fast. So what I'm going to do with this is going to be the background of my page. And you saw a little sample when we were introducing this today. What I like to do is just do a little smattering of stenciling. And I'm coming in here with the white texture paste from Ranger. And I'm just going to hold it in place and lift it up. Probably going to put a little bit more over here. There's no rhyme or reason to this. This is just me saying, oh, I want this to be here. And I think I'm going to turn my knife around. I'm going to come up here as well. So let's see. I've got a little extra here I don't really want. And let's see what we got. Okay. Then what I have, and I want to make sure I take care of, there's just some extra little small parts, and I'm not even sure how much of this is going to show yet because we're going to be incorporating the pocket as well. But before this dries, you can come in here and you can pull off the little tidbits, especially with a really big stencil like this, right? There's a lot of wide openings to it, so you might not really get the part of it that you want, and so you can easily take those little tidbits off. So that's what we're doing here. All right, taking the nested pockets. Now, she didn't say which pockets to use. I think I might have the tall, skinny ones on there as well. But I went ahead and used my favorite. Now, there are so many things I want to make with these pockets right now. But I chose to do a scrapbook page today and to keep this fairly simple. But you know what? As I say that, this is what we're going to do. Watch what we're going to do. Okay, so I used this size pocket die. It's about the second to the largest size in there, okay? I have already, you see that I have already scored or folded the scores. I mean, you can score the folds if you want. It's really a lot easier to fold the scores, in my opinion. But what I'm doing here is I'm just going to, I want to cut this shape out of the size that my pocket is. So you saw me go around and just trace that, and I'm going to trim it out. Because what I want to do here is cut this down to size so that I can back my pocket up. Because we're going to make this an interactive piece on the page. So in doing that, I want to keep this flap free. So I'm going to come around here to the back. I might have made it a little too tall. I did, so we'll need to trim that down. And I'm going to trim a little bit. I just, you know, I have said on here before, I can't cut a straight line if my soul depended on it. So it's a good thing my soul doesn't depend upon cutting straight lines, because I really did a poor job of cutting this one today. Okay, so I cut this appropriately now, and I need to make a little gusset for over here. So I'm going to grab my little box of scraps here and see if there is a color of paper that I want to use for this. And if not, I will go and grab it from a paper pad. All right, so what I'm doing here, I'm going to cut this piece about 3/4 inch and then come in here and score down the middle. And I'm creating an extra gusset because one of the flaps to my pocket is not going to actually be used to close off the pocket. So since that is the reality, I needed to go and make this gusset that I want here on this edge. So I'm going to use this 1/4 inch tape, run it along here, and go ahead and put the gusset in place. If I can get that up. There we go. And so line that up. And if you need to trim some from the top, which I do, that's an easy enough thing to do. And then I'm going to add 1/4 inch tape to the back part of that gusset and then to my folds. And then also along here on the bottom as well. Alrighty. Once I have all these pulled up, I'm going to then layer it back onto my little background paper that I had so much trouble trimming out the first time. I mean, I'm not the only one, right? We all have these little deficiencies in our life, correct? Some more than others, James. All right, I'm just lining this up. This is an exercise in how many times can she retrim her backer. Okay, so when we put it here on our page, I'm going to go at an angle, but I want it to open like this. See that right there? So I'm going to go ahead. I think at this point I can go ahead and do this. Go ahead and grab this adhesive again and add it to back here so that when it's sitting on the page, it is at this little angle, not too much, and then it opens up. And I'll show you why I'm doing that. Okay, I have here a 3x4 print, and I'm using the pocket as a mat and then this little flip. Because then I had fun I just printed this, well, I took a screenshot of all these photos of my sister and I, because there's like 20 of them. And because it just is so hard for us to take a picture. And so I just thought it'd be fun to have that there. And so I just now got to decide how I'm going to work it to how much of this I want to be shown. All right, I have used the Sunny Lane dies. and have cut a whole bunch of the leaves from that die set. You've seen me use that here on other videos recently. Just throwing them all over the place. And so those are all cut, and I just have them at the ready. I probably won't use all those. And I did use the peppermint, that greenish color here. Sage. Maybe sage is probably a good way to describe that color. And then I showed you at the beginning, the paper rose tickets. I love these guys. I just love the layering factor of them. So and then eventually we're going to pull these guys in here too, because sentiments. We need sentiments. We need the words to kind of support the story even before we actually tell the story. Okay, so just adding the photo to the outer pocket, and then on the inside I decided I'm going to tuck the fun photos inside the pocket, and I'm just going to leave that other space for my journaling. And so that is all in place. So now you see how that hinge worked. Playing around here with the ticket to kind of figure out how I'm going to layer it, and actually sort of kind of ends up like a tab, which is cool. And so once that's in place, you're going to see I'm going to start fiddling with the stamps to start building some sentiments. So at this point, I grab my Misty because I just want to make sure my application is precise. And remember, we're not working on perfection here, just precision. And so it is in place. Then I'm using my mini tonic trimmer to try to trim as close to as possible. And I will admit, I wasn't as successful as I would have liked to have been on this. I grabbed some mint tape. My friend Juliana Michaels does this perfectly, and she just gets these trims so nice and slim. But me, I'm going to go back here and I'm going to trim it some more with my scissors. So you decide for yourself which works best for you. It worked out, so that's the most important thing to me. And, do my little distressing there. So I will kind of point out later, perhaps I might forget, so I'll say it now. I re-stamped my sentiments in a paper that was a bit more contrasting. So it was the other side of that Plum Grove paper that I showed you earlier. So if you see that look, yeah, you can see it there. It's a little bit lighter, and my leaves are all over the place. So I'll go back in and fix that. I've made another sentiment strip with the WordFetti stamps. I'm grabbing a label sticker from the Jewel sticker book, and I'm going to cut it in half because then I'm going to repeat some elements here. So once I decide, I don't know why I had a difficult time there cutting that thing in half, but it is in half now. And I'm going to build some layers up there at the top, but I'm also going to add another layer there with the tab in the pocket. So I decided I needed to back it up, so I just grabbed some cardstock and backed it up, because when it's in place, it's going to be exposed on the other side, and I don't want that sticky part to be exposed. So it looks like it's a whole sticker, but it's not. We tricked everybody. So now to build pretty much the same thing. We have a label, we have the Sunny Lane leaves that are cut from the peppermint paper. And yes, I grabbed the glue gun. All is well with the world once again, because I have my glue gun in hand. I just love the glue gun, especially building delicate elements like this. You just don't need much glue at all. Just a real light hand of glue, and you barely have to press it in place, and then everything is sort of floating. I just love that so very much. So that's what I was attempting to attain there. I am going to build my sentiment with a piece of foam. And so that's kind of connecting those pieces there. And yes, we have a third part of this embellishment cluster as well. So I grabbed another ticket. See why it's so great to have a bunch of die cuts? You don't know where you're going to use them, and they're just there, and you don't have to stop and go cut something. Just cut them all at once. And just like the floral leaves, have a whole bunch cut, because you will use them and you'll be so happy they're just there and you can build with them. I have another stamp sentiment. Are you catching on a theme here? The WordFetti is just all that and a bag of chips. So same thing, I'm going to pop it up with some foam here after I give the edges a good distress. I like using that 1/8 inch because it just hides perfectly behind the phrase strip, if you will. And then as I go in and tuck in these leaves again, I'm only going to use 3 this time, and I've I'm kind of tearing off their stems because the stems aren't going to fit there with the foam, but it can still tuck in and the stems aren't, you're not missing them. And I kind of cut that little part in half. So always use at least 3 stems and make them all different. And it's really going to be pleasing to your cluster. So as we finish up here, I am using the storytellers for this particular story and several more that will be coming along here. And so I just wanted to show how it's just going to sit in the center of that page pretty nicely. And I have my pictures in the pocket there. And then I have room over now on the background to add my journaling, which will be happening soon. Thank you so much for watching this video. I sure hope you found some value here. Thanks for participating in the challenge. See you in the next video.